Hey, welcome to Apollo City Comics. I am Brandon.
And I'm David.
And we're here, coming from the green, from the swamp, from the bayou of Louisiana.
Okay, yeah.
We're hitting up Swamp Thing this week.
We are, man.
The early issues, the Len Wein and Bernie Wrightson stuff.
So is this the first, this is his character, and this is the first time this character has had a story, right? So this is the original Swamp Thing.
Yes, okay, the original Swamp Thing. Let's talk about the originality of Swamp Thing, since you've kind of learned some stuff in the last couple hours, and I've been looking up stuff for the last couple hours.
Oh, nice.
Swamp Thing first appeared in July, I believe. Am I wrong? July 1971. So June, July. Because whenever the comics are printed with a month, it's usually the month before they come out.
That's true.
It's weird.
Okay, yeah.
But then we have a striking similarity to Man Thing.
Oh, yeah. We were just talking about this.
Yeah, distributed by Marvel Comics. Which was premiered in May of 1971. So, you figure comics take, months to create, and then they get put on and they're, published and printed and everything. So supposedly the story behind this is that the creator Roy Thomas and Len Wein, creator of Man Thing, Roy Thomas, and the creator of Swamp Thing, Len Wein, they were college roommates.
Okay.
And apparently they were, always working on projects, coming up with ideas and stuff. And apparently they both had this idea of a swamp creature, a scientist that falls into a swamp and becomes like this swamp.
Oh, it's the same origin story for both of them too?
Freaking everything, yeah.
This really
Man
weird.
Thing is Dr. Theodore Ted Salas. Yeah, it's one of those things. Apparently they... Let me see. I was just reading this real fast. Oh, sorry. But apparently they were roommates, and apparently they thought of it at the same time. But they were just like, no, we didn't copy each other. We just had the same idea at the same exact time, and
it's really weird.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess there's no foul play though, because one of them would be mad at the other one.
Yeah, and they never took it hard. They just kind of ran with it. I mean, you look at superheroes; it's just the way things run at some point. Also, we have a book down here, The Phantom Stranger number 14, which came out in August of 1971. If you want to post that up.
Oh, so this is like another incredibly similar character.
Yeah, 1971 was just like swamp, like summer.
Swamp fever.
Yeah. And the story, Neil Adams penciled it, but apparently it had no connection to anything. It was just another swamp idea. I don't know too much about the background on that one, but other than Neil Adams did it, and it was just happened to come out at the same time of Man Thing and Swamp Thing. Mm-hmm. But I mean, I think what stands above all else is Bernie Wrightson's artwork. I think that's what kind of defines Swamp Thing at that point.
Yeah.
Bernie's known for his horror work. His last project he worked on before he passed away due to, I think it was a brain cancer. It just ate him away. Really tragic. And I heard he was a very nice and humble guy. He would always go to cons. Really great with fans. I know somebody who personally knew his family and everything, and he's always given me nothing but, just heartwarming stories about Bernie, for a guy that was so obsessed with horror. He was just like a really happy, like go-lucky type of guy, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel like most horror people are kind of like that.
Yeah. But I mean, what did you think of the first 10 issues? And I say the first 10 issues because that's the first. After that, I think Len Wein stayed on the story for a while, but Bernie Wrightson departed.
Interesting.
For projects
Okay.
and everything. That's why we wanted to cover these. We get like kind of the original artist, the original artwork, on all this stuff. And I believe it was Len and Bernie on the first appearance in House of Secrets 27 or something. House of Secrets 92.
Okay.
Yeah. And it was both of them working on it too. But what do you think? Tell me about it.
Well, the beginning of this, especially the first 4 issues of this story, is very Universal Monsters influenced.
Mm-hmm. Very Frankenstein.
Yeah. To the point where there's essentially like a Frankenstein monster in one of the issues, which isn't a bad thing, but that's the universe you kind of have to set yourself in. Mm-hmm. It doesn't really seem like a superhero comic book as much at the beginning anyway. It's more of like he's like a creature from the Black Lagoon, essentially.
Yeah.
We get like sort of like a Incredible Hulk dynamic where he's a great mind trapped behind a monster.
And he doesn't speak yet.
He doesn't speak yet, which, I mean, this is the first one thing I've read. So that's a huge dynamic that comes into play through so many of these stories, is that he gets forced into situations because he can't talk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And if he could just explain himself, then everything would be a lot easier. Mm-hmm. But pretty much all of the character dynamics that Swamp Thing goes through, meeting these other people, it all revolves around like the inability of him to communicate, which is, I think, is interesting. I think it's a really interesting thing because unlike Hulk, there is no time where he goes back to the scientist. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hulk is a monster for a while, but then he's Bruce Banner, and then you can just talk to him. And this guy, it's just, he's now the Swamp Thing, and that's pretty much it.
Exactly.
After those first 4 books, we kind of get into stranger territory.
Really strange territory.
Some like Twilight Zone-esque kind of tales. Each story is very self-contained, but there is a plot that is going through the whole thing. So it's going to be interesting. I mean, I finished the 10 issues, and I definitely kind of want to read the rest of this run.
Yeah,
which definitely. I think goes up to 24, right? It's 20. Is it 24 issues?
I want to say, in fact, this one we have the giant Bronze Age Swamp Thing omnibus right here. Yeah. Heavy duty stuff.
And Brandon's also brought this Secret of the Swamp Thing, which is the first 10 issues. And I got to say, this thing is adorable. Yeah. I wish I had this while I was reading. This would have been so easy just to kind of like...
That was the first format I read them on.
This is cool.
I had it and I was just like, I've never read the first 10 issues. And I love how I've got bigger formats. Like,
I bet this is like super cheap on Amazon or something too. You know what I mean? I'm going to look that up while you're doing this.
So... The Bronze Age omnibus that we have right here. This has House of Secrets 92, which is the 8-page origin story.
Yeah,
which
very
is
short.
It pretty much hasn't changed too much. You know, some of the dynamics and the relationships did, but that's all. But the first run is Swamp Thing 1 through 24, and that's just called Swamp Thing. There's no, it just says startling issue. If anything, they just labeled Swamp Thing.
It's just called Swamp Thing. Yeah.
Because later on they change the names a lot. It becomes the Saga of the Swamp Thing, and then the Sensational Swamp Thing, and then something else after that. Because Alan Moore just gets super poetic with Swamp Thing. It's
I'm excited to read that.
Wonderful.
Alan Moore, he's another guy. He's a whole other dude.
But the first 24 issues, and I'm looking into the artwork that's in this book, and I'm seeing what we've read so far, the weirdness and the just insanity that goes on after a while. I'm very curious to see how much further we could push some of those boundaries, Issue 9, that alien issue, was just out of nowhere. And, the creation, that the way Bernie creates these people is just so bizarre and so different. It reminds you of like some sort of kind of occult type of comic, like Alien Worlds or Twisted Tales and stuff like that. Really obscure, indie type of comic horror that
you could definitely get a vibe of I'm totally dropping the name right now. Cthulhu. What's this guy's name?
Oh, Lovecraft. Yeah.
Yeah, you get some Lovecraft vibes for sure.
Well, it's even mentioned in I want to say it's issue 7 where the one where they go into that town and there's that weird Methuga or something like that. And it says that he's influenced Lovecraft and Poe and stuff like that. And I love references like that.
That one's a really crazy issue too. Isn't Alan Moore super into Lovecraft? I think we've been over that, right?
Yeah,
he's all about that.
That's pure Moore, yeah.
Seems like a good match for him to kind of tackle this thing. I'm excited to read the Moore one. Well, let's dive in, man. Let's go to the first issue, yeah. Now, let's start with issue 4.
Issue 4?
No, I'm just joking.
I was like, what?
Let's start the first issue.
Let's do that then.
I'm just being a little punk. Okay. So we have the origin of the swamp.
Yes.
Of Swampy.
So essentially, Alec Holland is a scientist, and they're working on some sort of biochemical
it's not
project.
Even a weapon, but it's kind of like he's creating something that can...
And it essentially could help humanity, but of course we have the people that want to use it against humanity. And this formula essentially can make, anything in the desert or anything anywhere in the world just grow plants, give life, and,
And that could solve, world hunger, essentially.
Yeah, everything, so much, you know what I mean? So... when they get dropped off in the bayou of Louisiana because it's secluded, it has the plant life around them, the swamp around them, and that way they could run experiments and everything. And they're trying to hide them. Yeah,
they're like kind of under a house, not a house arrest, but Witness Protection Act kind of thing. Yeah,
exactly. And they even say in like the second page is that this is a big project and a lot of people want to buy this off of us. And if people discover you, they're gonna try to buy you out from us. And us as the U.S. Government, we want to keep you, and so that we can have you guys.
Exactly.
And right away we get a whole little gang of hooligans Right it all up. Right when was it Matt Cable? Matt Cable like takes
Yeah.
off.
So yeah, we have the main scientist. We also have his wife, whose name is it Linda?
Linda Holland. Yeah.
Linda Holland. She's also a scientist, and they're there working on it together.
Yeah.
And then we have Matt Cable, who is a U.S. government employee, I guess, like some kind of. He takes on a lot of different roles.
He does.
He seems like he's a soldier sometimes, and it seems like he's a secret agent other times.
Yeah.
But
I would say he's just like a secret agent, and he's just in the ranks where they put him where they need him at that point.
that's our three people together, and it seems like Cable is good friends with Holland.
Yeah. Well,
The way they talk about it later, it makes it seem like they're like really close. Although at the beginning, it just seems like
they just met.
They just met, and he's kind of there.
That's what kind of confused me at first too. Is that to me it seems like they just met, and maybe he takes it to heart because that was his mission. He takes his job seriously.
Maybe
he's gone so far, and this creature has killed like the two people he was supposed to watch. Or what he thinks
Spoiler
this creature.
alert.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's been since the 70s.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's expired now. Well, this dog shows up after this guy leaves. And first off, I got to say, I do enjoy the art style. It might be one of the worst dogs I've seen in a comic book.
I was going to mention that.
He looks terrible. He looks nothing like a dog.
Especially the first appearance. You're just like, all right, this looks like a dog costume, if anything.
Yeah,
you know
what is this thing? He's got too much like facial features. He looks like a Ewok or something.
I think he has the beard and everything, and he's just like professor looking.
It's really intense. But it turns out that the baddies sent this dog.
Yes.
And they have some kind of microchip and like a speaker, not a speaker, microphone, which you would think would just be in the collar, but they actually say it's on the dog somewhere, which is interesting. But they're using it to spy on him. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so I mean, these hooligans kind of make their round, and they try to,
intimidate
him and everything. And we find out it's what's the company that does it? There's DC has these like inner companies that. Whoa.
That was fast.
That was quick. These
that
inner
counts,
companies. Yeah, almost.
It's another dollar.
It's not like the first time. Almost
in like 3 episodes.
No way, really?
Yeah, there was one. Yeah, there was one not that long ago. I can't remember what it was. It was right at the end. It was a Batman. I think it was Hush.
Probably just got too excited.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard not to.
Yeah.
Read Hush.
Well, there's like these companies in DC that are like secret organizations. Like one's called like Interpol or something like that, or Inter something. Oh, the Conclave. That's
Conclave.
That's who's
led by
it.
Ferret, or not? He's not led by it, but he's working on it.
And it's this big old dude with like this monkey creature that he has following him around, and I thought that was weird in general. Like, and this guy has like melted candles around him, and you're right, it's totally like, Universal horror with the settings, the backdrops. It has that Dracula kind of long drapes and all mysterious, and they're in some giant mansion apparently, and but he's the one spying on him. He's the one that wants to control this bio project. So they send, once, they intimidate him once, and Matt Cable's just like, who was those guys? They come back, and they end up planting bombs inside of it. I don't know where Linda is when Alec comes back to the lab.
Yeah, I'm not sure either, actually. But basically, those bombs go off, and it tosses them out the window.
No, it's not even out the window.
Is it not out the window? I thought
he just like gets blasted.
Oh no, he gets blasted, and then he's running outside.
And because the chemical goes all over him, and it starts healing his body. It's doing its job while he's on fire and burning, and then he falls into the swamp water, and he just becomes infused with what's around him.
With the swamp.
And
then we got Swamp Thing.
That's it.
That's his origin story.
That's how we do it. And when you look at Swamp Thing nowadays, you really see the power that he has and his abilities, and able to control elements and do all this. But this is so early, and I love it because it's so early in his career. He's just one big hunk of green.
Yeah,
he doesn't really become a plant yet. It's more of a muscle man of green at this point. Yeah, he doesn't use any powers except for strength.
He's a very simple character.
Very. I want to see that. I'm really curious when we start seeing him evolve, and that might all be Alan Moore. I'm not. I'm looking ahead of this, and I believe this leads up to Alan Moore's run. I think after this, it starts up his stuff. But What else? Let's see. That's basically issue 1.
Yeah, Swamp Thing comes out. He goes and tries to get vengeance on these guys. The dog gets caught in some quicksand, and he goes to help the dog out. And by the time he gets back to the house, they've killed Linda.
Yes. Yeah.
And then he goes and he kills this guy who caused this thing
with the awesome full page splash. Like, I love seeing how Bernie does the wreckage so intense, and you focus so like on the burliness of Swamp Thing.
Yeah.
That's the focus point there. I love it.
Yeah, he just crushes that guy's car while it's moving. And that's that's all of issue 1, really, right?
And it seems like very simple at first. You know what I mean? And issue 2, that's when stuff just starts getting weird.
Yeah, issue 2, right off the bat, you get introduced to these. They're called the Unmen.
The Unmen.
The Unmen, and it makes me wonder, like, where exactly they come from. It seems like the swamp also has created some other kind of
mutations
creatures
or something like.
Yeah, they don't ever really explain it. You just kind of go along for that ride.
Well, the Unmen are in some different country.
Well, at the beginning of this thing, they're just in the bayou with him. The Unmen are with him in the bayou, and then they overtake Swamp Thing in issue 2.
And they take him back home.
And presumably on a plane? No, they paddle him. They're paddling him on this like wooden X thing that they made, and then they show him taking him on some kind of like trolley, and the next thing you know, we're in Transylvania. And then when I started reading this section, I was like, wait, what happened?
I know, it took me a second to backtrack and be like, did I just see this right?
Yeah, so these guys cross like an ocean or something on just paddling Swamp Thing. This part doesn't make a ton of sense. But, you know, we shouldn't just be trying to pick holes, I guess.
I mean, and it's funny because in these 10 issues, you kind of travel the world
really?
A good amount. Like,
yeah, he goes all over the place.
And again, with these 10 issues, what I found really interesting, too, was each one was a story. Each one had its own thing going on, its own plot. It's, you know, we do have the over arc between everything, but you could just pick up an issue and kind of just run with it at that point.
Yeah, and figure something out. Well, the Unmen take him to their creator, I guess. So I guess technically the Unmen aren't from the swamp.
No, yeah.
They're from Arcane, right?
Exactly.
But they just look kind of similar in aesthetic to Swamp Thing.
It fits it, yeah, very well.
And Arcane seems like this mad scientist.
Wizard,
kind of, I don't really know, but you do get to learn a little bit about Swamp Thing. He kind of runs some experiments on him and finds out he has no blood pressure, that he's literally just plant.
Yeah, just swamp.
You know, there's no bone or organs. He's just a big old swamp man.
And that's what attracts Arcane to him. Arcane wants to live forever. He wants to be around. He wants the power, and he's just this wrinkled, crippling old man at this point. Yeah. And it makes me wonder, how old is Arcane? Like, is he literally just like in his 80s or 90s, or has he been around for a long time?
I don't know. Well, not to get too far ahead, but we meet Arcane's niece later, and she's very young, which would make you think that he couldn't be that much older.
Yeah, that's true too.
Like, for being her uncle. Also, she's not concerned at all about having a crazy wizard uncle. Like, she never mentions anything about him being like an insane experiment.
Look at the town that they're from. Like,
it's straight up Dracula.
Yeah.
Which is even weirder because the aesthetic is completely Dracula, but then this issue turns into Frankenstein.
Yes.
Dr. Frankenstein in the next one.
Yeah. But
yeah, Arcane makes a deal with Swamp Thing. He says, "Hey man, I can remove your swampiness and turn you back into your man shape." And they do it. They use some kind of magical urn to change their bodies.
Yeah.
And then he hears the evil guy monologue, like Arcane's in the other room now in the Swamp Thing body,
and he's like,
and he can hear him monologuing hard through the door.
Which trips me out because he talks here, and Swamp
Thing
even
can't
weirder.
Talk. Yeah, that's true. And I think he mentions something about it, doesn't he? There's something about like. I can't remember exactly where it is.
If we come across it, we'll point it out.
Yeah. But that is interesting that he's able to...
Has the vocal abilities.
Maybe he's stronger somehow. He also looks exactly like Swamp Thing, too. It's not like he looks slightly different or anything. But then our homie Holland, he decides, you know...
He realizes
this
isn't
guy's
right. Evil, yeah. And what he's going to do to the town and everything.
Yeah, and if I got to sacrifice myself to do this, I'll do it. And then he... goes to get the urn, and there's this 4-armed purple monster there.
Yeah.
And he like
the creatures, they
He
look
like
so
kills him with
alien.
his bathrobe sash.
Yeah,
That part's a little bit weird too. There's some wackiness in this that's a little confusing.
definitely.
But he breaks the urn essentially, and then they switch places. And Arcane and the Unmen, it seems like they die for now.
Yeah.
I mean, spoiler alerts, they don't.
Yeah,
But at this moment, you think they do. And
Arcane's very prominent in later series. Scott Snyder's run on the
really?
New 52.
Okay.
You see Arcane, and the enemy of the green is something called the Rot, and it destroys everything. It turns everything like red, and it just disintegrates, and it's like death at that point. Because green is life, and then the opposite.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so it's a cool little contrast they have going on there. But Scott Snyder's New 52 run is pretty phenomenal in that too.
there's so much of this to check out, man. I'll have to read some more. I'm honestly more interested in Swamp Thing than I thought I was going to be. I was kind of expecting something totally different.
Oh, what were you expecting?
I was expecting just like a traditional like superhero. Like he's Swamp Thing now. I knew that he was going to be kind of scary.
Yeah.
That was obviously going to play into it. But they really lean hard into the horror element.
Yeah.
And then after this, it just gets wacky. It's like, it's so out there.
Yeah. And there's other stories that get weirder.
Yeah.
So like real fast, there's some other volumes that you can find on Amazon and whatnot. I have to look up the writer on it, but I'm totally drawing a blank. But it's one's called Dark Genesis. It's named after the first issue and everything.
Okay.
But Swamp Thing ends up in Alan Moore's run, meeting the Parliament of Trees.
Okay.
And it's like this parliament that lives in like the equator and everything. And they basically control the green of the world. And they're passing on their power to Swamp Thing.
Okay.
Swamp Thing, now controls that element. He later ends up going through these trials and ends up controlling earth, water, and fire. And it's some crazy stuff he gets to do. He gets like insane. He becomes a god. I mean, he's already a god with the green, but he becomes overwhelmingly powerful. Alan Moore's run, he ends up traveling like through space, which is just crazy. And he ends up like
really
one issue. He winds up on a planet that is made of plant. So when he appears on it, he's like part of the people on it, and he's now essentially like
he's home.
Kind of home, but
really,
he's like using people to like live, and so he has to find a way off of the planet. And crazy stuff. There's really like a poetic issue where it's just Swamp Thing like going through space, and he's kind of like hopping from planet to planet, trying to find his way back to Earth. Yeah.
I'd be interested in that.
He could like transport. He like will be in a plant, well, especially in the Constantine series and everything. Which he makes another appearance in Constantine, which him and Constantine are like buddies practically.
Weird. Okay.
But he'll transport. He'll like exist in the swamp and then appear out of a plant like in Manhattan or something.
Okay.
So he's doing that and traveling through space, trying to like organically bloom, and then he's like, this isn't it, and he goes back and then he disappears into another one. Yeah. His
really
powers are very just godlike. I mean, he's super powerful. Like him versus Dr. Manhattan would be just interesting.
That is interesting. Well, Dr. Manhattan might just vaporize him. That's the only thing about Dr. Manhattan.
Yeah.
Anytime he could just vaporize somebody, he doesn't do it all the time.
Have to get rid of all the green.
Oh, that's true. Maybe he could like recreate himself. And that happens in here.
Yes.
Where Swamp Thing dies and then the swamp just like rebirths him.
Exactly.
So he is one with nature. Yeah, that is pretty interesting take.
But onto issue 3?
Issue 3, yeah.
Yeah. And this is where Abigail is a very prominent character in the future. They end up becoming lovers and everything too.
Okay.
Yeah, which is a strangely like amazing issue when like Swamp Thing has sex with Abigail Arcane, and it is a sex issue. And it is the
comic books are so weird sometimes, man.
Yeah.
Comic books are just so weird. Like, okay. Anyway, sorry.
I remember reading it at like, I don't know if I was at school or work, but just like looking around, just like, this is Swamp Thing is all right.
This is some smut.
And it's just this poetic, beautiful
really?
issue that just like breaks it down. What Swamp Thing is later able to do in Alan Moore's run, he blooms like these plants out of him, and you take a bite out of the plants, and it's like you're going on some sort of acid trip or something. And Abigail takes a bite, and they kind of just like fuse together, and they end up making what's like swamp love at that point.
Sounds like he roofied Abigail. Didn't sound right, Swamp Thing.
It's great.
I'm not so sure about Swampy now. Well, in issue 3, he's now in this laboratory.
Yes, and he's trying to like find a way. He's a scientist. He's just like,
yeah.
how am I gonna reverse this?
Yeah.
But his hands are too lumpy and hard, and he can't. He just grabs something and. Psh.
Yeah, he has no dexterity in his hands. And then we meet this creature that is really Arcane's brother.
Yes.
Arcane's brother died, and then Arcane used some.
Father.
Yeah, he used some sciencey
Abigail
stuff to. It is Abigail, right?
It
yeah,
is Abigail.
He uses some dark science Frankenstein level stuff to give him a new body, and he looks just like Frankenstein's monster.
Yeah. And Bernie Wrightson did do a Frankenstein story. That was actually the last thing he was working on before he passed away. And that artwork in that book is just beyond anything else.
Wow.
Like so detailed, and I think it's all done in black and white. And
wow,
I mean,
I would love to read that.
It is, from what I've heard, is really great.
I'll definitely check that out. Well, we have Swampy also taking a fall as well in this book, and the castle basically like exploding.
Yeah.
And by castle, I mean like this laboratory. It's a weird thing. If we can put a picture up, we will. But it's like a laboratory on the side of a mountain that looks like a Gothic castle.
Yeah. Overlooking this town.
Yeah,
and the townspeople are just like, meh.
And they're all like peasants and stuff. It's very silly. It's really super silly. But
Matt Cable's flying from the U.S. because they're tracking the plane that was carrying Swamp Thing, and he has the dog with him. He's like, "It's okay, boy."
Yeah, that's weird. They keep taking the dog with them.
Yeah.
And it comes into play again later, the whole tracking thing and the dog, or the microphone, I should say. Basically, Swampy and Frankenstein's monster get in a fight over Abigail. Abigail is really just not sure about anything that's going on. She doesn't understand any of this. Matt Cable thinks that Swamp Thing killed his friend. And Mrs.
Seeking vengeance.
Yeah, he's seeking vengeance. He's trying to find Swamp Thing. But basically, like, we get to a point where, the townspeople are chasing him. They're having a fight, Frankenstein's monster and Swampy. Abigail's there, and she gets into this perilous spot where she's going to fall and die. And they work together to save her. But unfortunately, her father, he's gone.
Yeah.
He's dead. And this one's kind of interesting because you definitely get those Frankenstein vibes with like the mob of people and the pitchforks and the torches. And...
It's funny because like Matt Cable gets knocked out, I think. Like he gets hit by one of them. I think by the Frankenstein monster father.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, like a page later, he turns up with the whole mob.
Yeah, that is weird. There's some weird things like that. Well, even earlier about what we were talking about, there was a panel where, is it Holland? No, what is it again?
Yeah, Holland. Yeah.
Holland and his wife are petting that dog, and then the next thing, the next page, it's like the bombs are being planted under the table, and it's just Holland there.
Yeah.
They don't explain at all
like
where she
Linda
went.
was or anything. Yeah.
There's some weird stuff like that, but I don't know if.
And this is back in 1971 where people aren't, comics weren't taken as seriously as they are now.
Yeah.
They are still very much funny books. They're just very much meant for kids. They're not, even the dialogue and everything is it's a little cheesy no matter what. But, when you look at any comic from that era, I mean, all of the dialogue is outrageously cheesy. Try reading an old Marvel book and good luck with that.
Yeah, for real, so right?
But I mean, honestly, if it wasn't for the artwork in this, I don't know if it'd be taken as seriously as it.
I don't think so either.
Yeah.
Well, the first few issues are pretty hokey in particular, especially with all this, because the next one, issue 4, we get the Wolfman issue.
Yeah. Yeah.
So for a while, it just seems like they're taking one thing and then they're writing an issue about it. Like, okay, let's do one with Frankenstein's monster, and now we do one with the Wolfman. Where basically, there's this family who is luring them in. At the end of issue 3, they're flying back on this plane. Swampy's holding on to the arm of the plane.
And he's like 500 pounds.
Yeah, which would really throw off the aerodynamics of this plane for sure. I was thinking the same thing.
There's even a part where later on in the issue, he's on the back of a truck and he like rolls off of it. Yeah. And he's and he even says, he's like, I'm 500 pounds. Like,
they mention it all the time. They would notice.
Yeah.
It's way too much weight.
Yeah, like the plane would be lopsided.
Yeah,
or very way down.
He'd have to be like, he'd have to really consider. And it's not a big plane either. It's like a small,
no, it's a little,
whatever, an Indiana Jones plane.
Yeah.
Think about an Indiana Jones movie. That's the kind of plane they're on. But yeah, they're coming back and they see they're running out of fuel or something. They need to land, and they see a runway. They see the lights. So they decide to land, and they crash. There's no runway there. Swamp Thing saves them without them necessarily even knowing. And then they get captured, and I don't mean Swamp Thing. I mean the
Matt Cable and Abigail.
They get captured by these two people who live in another giant mansion that's in like super creepy
swamp area.
Yeah, it's the same kind of aesthetic, I guess, but basically the story of this one is like we have a wolf man who's really the son of this couple. And they want to cure his lycanthropy. So they decide that they're going to take Matt Cable and they're going to do a complete blood transfusion.
Yeah.
Which, first off, scientifically, I don't even think that can happen. I don't know if you can drain someone's entire blood and then put a different blood in without killing them. Like, I don't think it's going to work.
Or mixing at some... I don't know.
Yeah, mixing and diluting or something. I don't think they thought this through all the way. But then the Wolfman dude, and like most Wolfman stories, he doesn't want to pass his curse on to someone else because he understands it.
Yeah.
And
he's like, let me die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We get a good Swamp Thing fight in this one where he's fighting the Wolfman. They're looking for silver. So all the rules still apply.
And there's no silver in the house except for the chandelier.
Yeah. Which also, who has a giant silver chandelier? Like, just polishing that thing's going to be a pain. But we get another great little fight. So, and this kind of closes out the really universal issues. Issue 5, we get a little bit different. But if you don't know anything about Swamp Thing, but you are into those like Frankenstein, Wolfman kind of characters, Dracula,
right in,
I think you'll really enjoy the first few issues for sure. Is there anything else you want to throw in issue 4? I just kind of like blazed through 4.
No, I mean, I guess the only thing that you would need to know is that Abigail tagged along with Matt because she's like, I have nothing left here. Like, you know, essentially like, let me go with you.
Uncle's gone.
She's like, let me go with you on your travels. I want to help you find this creature. Like, you know, and you know, as like a secret agent type of guy, Matt sure is just taking on a lot of freeloaders. Like he has this dog. He has this like girl with him. And that's, you know, very young compared to him. I'm sure she's only like 19, 20, 21.
Yeah, she's supposed to be young, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Also, you would think that they would have had the relationship dynamic, not necessarily her and Swamp Thing.
Yeah, exactly.
But...
And, you know, from what my understanding is, and I'm going to have to follow this up, we'll do some episodes on Sandman, because Sandman's my, you know, next to Swamp Thing, my favorite comic ever. But there's a bird in Sandman. It's this raven, and his name is Matt, and I believe it is Matt Cable from Swamp Thing.
Whoa, like he gets transformed into a bird somehow. Well, I guess that's not impossible in this universe.
Yeah, we have a Swamp Thing, so... but now we get to the witch issue.
Yeah.
Which is honestly, I'm looking at this the cover to issue 5 right here, and I never noticed, but the guy laying on the rock, his face is like bashed in.
Oh yeah,
and there's blood running down it, and I think that's super cool.
Yeah, it is really cool,
especially for something that was approved by the Comics Code Authority, because they were very enforceful at this time. So just seeing that, I think that's a cool little thing right there. But this, I mean, Swamp Thing. He's on a boat. He's a stowaway, and they discover him, and he gets thrown off of it. He winds up on another little
quaint village of people. These 2 young kids rescue him because they're on the run.
Yeah.
They think that the sister is a witch.
Look at these people's outfits, and this guy has a scythe, and
where are
beards.
they? Yeah. Where in the United States is this? That's what I want to know. This is really...
They're going through time.
I guess if it's anywhere, this is supposed to be like Salem or something.
Yeah, exactly.
This is the witch trial issue. And then Swamp Thing, he wants to help him out because those 2 people looked after him when he was in danger. He fights off another crowd of angry people with pitchforks.
And it's cool because this is the first issue you see his regeneration abilities.
Yes, that's right.
He gets his arm chopped off by that scythe. And then you see it grow back, and he's just like, what is happening to me? Like, he's discovering the powers at the same time.
And I think that's a great thing in these first few issues, that every issue you kind of get a little bit more about what Swamp Thing is, what makes him up and everything.
You could tell they're just kind of, as they're going, they're making stuff up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that's true. Oh, what if we do this? Yeah, there's a bunch of people sitting in a room together. Well, maybe Swamp Thing can do this because he's a swamp person. But what we end up with is like, they capture the woman, they have her on the tree, they're gonna burn her. Swamp Thing shows up, the fire's already lit, and he rips the whole tree out of the ground to save her, which is cool. But then we find out that she really is a witch.
Well, it's not her, it's the kid.
No, it is her, isn't it?
No, she's the familiar and the kid is the one.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Oops, I got that backwards.
There is a page on the page you're talking about where he rips out the tree from the ground. The panel before that, I think, is one of the goofiest looking Swamp Thing images ever.
That one is weird.
He looks like an old Kermit or something right there.
And I gotta say, I do like the character design. I wish he was a little more swampy though. He looks very dry to me.
Exactly.
I wish there was a way
Very
we could get him more
monster.
wet.
Mm-hmm.
I really like that trailer, that little teaser that we have for that Swamp Thing coming out.
Very Alan Moore based.
Yeah.
During that John
Tobin era. He looks like sludgy. I like that kind of look for Swamp Thing. It makes sense.
And honestly, the current run, Justice League Dark, where Swamp Thing's a part of, I should have brought a cover with me. But he looks like Alan Moore.
Oh, okay.
He has like a beard-looking thing with like almost dread-looking hair and everything. But he has the evolution of the character it's changed so much, and it makes sense.
Yeah.
He's developing these powers. He just became this thing, and when you think of a plant, how it's gonna grow, it's gonna be just kind of like a lump at first.
Yeah.
It hasn't bloomed yet. It hasn't changed at all. So I mean, this first incarnation of his body is super interesting.
I think so.
I'm just glad they never went back to it though.
Yeah. he does look a little silly. I mean, it's just like one of those 70s things. I think. Well, let's keep trucking, man. I think we're going to get through this pretty quickly. The stories are all relatively simple.
Yeah.
On all these other things we've done, we've read 6 issues where it's like one big story. Mm-hmm. And although there is a continuing story, like you said, these are very self-contained. And for the most part, they have a beginning, a middle, and then the little ending to them. And some of them are a little predictable.
Yeah.
But I don't think in a totally bad way. This next one is where I thought things finally started to get like really weird.
Yeah. With the robot android assassin.
So already the plot of this one at the beginning is bizarre. Swamp Thing finds himself in this weird town where this man has created like android robot versions of a bunch of people. Mm-hmm. And among those people are himself and Linda. So both of them have their own android version.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how.
I don't know how.
Why would he have picked these two people? How would he even know
so much about them? And also, Matt Cable goes back to Washington, D.C. He's working on the Swamp Thing case, and they're just like, Matt, this is just came in from hierarchies. You're off the case. It's too personal. And Abigail was like right there with them. And like for a Secret Service type of thing, she's just tagging along. Like she's just
like, oh, she's your +1. Okay.
Yeah.
There's no questions or anything raised.
And she's just like hanging out with them on these missions and everything.
Excuse me, you can't be here, young lady. Yeah, none of that. Well, this one, it's got, basically, we get a little bit of the human side of Swampy. Mm-hmm. He kind of has feelings for this Linda robot.
Yeah, it all comes back to him, and it hits him really hard. And, he tries to kiss her, and he's just like, no, this isn't real. This isn't what I really want. This doesn't exist. This is...
We also get Swampy's first words. He says no in this issue.
Does he?
Yeah, he actually says no. It's right. It's on the page before the yellow helicopter shows up. That's the easy way to see it. There it is. This whole time he's been talking in a thought bubble, but here we get a no, and he gives us one more no later. So
okay, well, it's a start.
Yeah, it's his first words.
Of course, Arcane, he just kind of takes control of the body. Mm-hmm. So and apparently he even says later on in issue 10 when Arcane comes back. That he's been studying Swamp Thing, so he knows his weaknesses, he knows his strengths, he knows how to use his body. So maybe Swamp Thing is still discovering how to use those cords. Mm-hmm. But I love the yellow helicopter.
Yeah, so this helicopter shows up, and there's this group of people who make these robots already, but they realize that this dude, this mayor of this town, this wacky mustached man, that he makes better robots. So they want to take him, and they're basically saying, like, you're coming with us. Yeah. That's it. You know what I mean? Yeah. You have no say in this matter. But then some people start fighting, and then is it Matt Cable Does he show up again, or is?
Yeah, he does. He pulls up
Yeah.
because he's investigating this village that popped up out of nowhere with all these people have no trace or no tax records, no anything.
And he gets shot by these people who are trying to take.
Oh, he gets kidnapped. He gets kidnapped. Yeah.
Well, he gets shot.
Oh,
too,
he gets shot in the arm. Yeah,
but they do take him. Yeah, which is important for the next story. They end up taking him, and then they're going to take the man, but then they end up shooting and killing Linda
and Alec.
Yeah. So both of those people are just dead again, even though they weren't really alive.
And it's crazy because Linda jumps in the way of Swamp Thing, so they don't shoot Swamp Thing. So she sacrifices herself.
Which was a stupid decision because Swamp Thing can't be affected by bullets.
Yeah, exactly.
But 2 people do that in this issue.
Yeah.
And it's a kind of weird because he gets really upset about it, but it seemed like just literally...
Because he's seeing Linda die in front of him again. And
But 4 pages ago, he already came to the realization that she's a robot.
Yeah, but
she's a robot, only a robot with programmed emotions.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think he's still confused. I think, you're probably right. It's a visceral experience.
Yeah, exactly. And
through for loop.
Then he battles the robot with the super hammer arm.
Yeah. Boom. Yeah. I have my piston arm engaged. Boom.
And it's just funny, he just baps him in the face.
Yeah.
That's like his power.
Yeah. You know what I mean? And he beats him up. He beats him up, too. He's like the first one to really beat up Swamp Thing. But then Swamp just rips his arm off.
Yeah.
And then crushes his head with it.
Just like bashes him,
with a terrible line. So he tears his arm off and says, so you can, or he thinks, I guess, so you can take this much vaunted hydraulic arm of yours and stick it in your mechanical ear. It's like, wow. Wow, the 70s.
It's so cheesy.
It's so cheesy, yeah.
And then they're all about to shoot Swamp Thing, and then the dude jumps out of nowhere. He's like, "Don't do it!" And he takes the hits. Yeah, and it's just like, just let him shoot Swamp Thing. He's fine.
He'll be fine. He can't be affected by bullets. He should have said something. But then we really get to the end. So those people take off after realizing they've done messed up, and we get the weirdest ending thing where Swamp Thing and his dog are in like a train car. And then outside the train car, you see like a window, a wooden picket sign that says Gotham City, 213 miles. And then you're like, we're in for it now.
Yeah.
Here it comes.
Oh my gosh. So, I mean, it's kind of funny how they all jump. I mean, I do like the concept of what that old guy was trying to do with the town. He was trying to make them, peaceful. They didn't need anything. He just wanted people to like, just live and be happy. And like humans came and showed the terror and they messed it all up, and they ended up killing these people, saying that once that guy died, they're like, there's nothing else, and they just attacked them until they all burned together, which was kind of poetic, I guess.
Yeah, it's these are very Twilight Zone. Yeah, some of these issues.
And then now that city just exists and it's empty, with that heaping pile
of robot bodies.
But we jump to Gotham City. It's great. Yeah. I was gifted this issue number 7 by a good friend of mine, and it's signed by Bernie Wrightson. We'll do a little video on it later, but
and of course he forgot it today. He forgot the shirt. He forgot the Bernie Wrightson autographed Batman issue.
Yep.
So this is what I was most excited about when reading this book, because I was like, Frank's going to be listening to this audio, editing. He's going to get 40 minutes in, and then we're going to talk about Batman. And it's not even that we're shoehorning it in, but legit, Batman shows up.
Batman is here. Yeah, he goes to Gotham, and now Swamp Thing has the dog. This dog has traveled the world.
Yeah. Yeah. This dog's had a very fulfilled thing, and he still doesn't look any better. He looks completely ridiculous, especially on the first issue of...
the first page.
The first page of issue 7. He looks ridiculous.
And then Swamp Thing is just in Gotham, all cash, and he looks kind of like Killer Croc in that like trench coat and everything. And he throws a cop car, trying not to get noticed by anyone.
A great way to keep a low profile. Yeah, he could have just run away when the cops spotted him, but instead he decides to trash their cop cars, like pick one up and throw it in another one and explode him.
And we also learned the Conclave has captured Abigail and Matt, and they're torturing them right now too.
Yeah.
And Bruce Wayne just met with the ringleader of the Conclave, as we discover too. And this is like a cheesy time in Batman history too.
Yeah, it's it's the 70s. We got it full of cheese, although there's some good bat action in here.
Yeah, I do love the cape movements in this issue. I think that's one of the
There's one little fight scene on the dock, and he's just got some good classic Batman
great dialogue
and cracks. But this issue is actually really straightforward, I think.
Yeah.
Like, basically, Swamp Thing goes into the same thing again. He meets Batman, and obviously Batman thinks he's a bad guy. Swamp Thing can't talk, and he does beat up Batman though, which I thought was kind of a cool little thing. He knocks Batman out in one punch. But then, of course, the Bat gets back up again and chases him some more.
And Swamp Thing is shocked. He's like, "How did this guy just get up? I just uppercutted him like crazy."
Yeah, he should be gone.
And then we also have the death of the dude that runs the Conclave.
Oh yeah, what a wild journey he's been on with that character.
Yeah. But why does this guy have this monkey thing at a party though?
Well, he's straight Ozymandiasing it right now. You know what I mean? You make some genetically modified animal, you're going to keep it with you all the time.
This is Watchmen before Watchmen.
For reals,
This is before Watchmen.
Oh, no. Turn real quick to the previous page, though. This is the third to last page in issue 7. This is one of my favorite pages.
Where he's scaling the building?
Yeah. Batman's following the dog now, because the dog's got a scent, and he's walking up the stairs. So we get this great shot of, like, the building on the inside and Batman going up the stairs, and on the outside Swamp Thing is climbing up the wall, and it's saying that he's like with his hands just digging into the concrete, which is just so cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. A great visual, honestly. But you know what, dude, I can't believe they killed the dog.
Do they kill the dog?
They kill the dog.
Oh no! Yes. You know what? I missed that,
dude. When I got to that part rereading it this time, I was just like, I forgot.
They shoot the dog and they kill him. But to be fair, it was probably that guy's dog. Or at least they trained him, you know what I mean? Like, he is the Conclave's dog.
Yeah.
He's not theirs. We've just grown to like him.
Yeah, I just like him. The dog, you know what I mean?
Rest in peace, ugly face dog.
Yeah. And so that's why Swamp Thing is even more upset, is that, you know, he died, his wife died, this innocent dog died, like, was gunned down, and...
Yeah.
But then thankfully this guy and the monkey thing goes with them. I'm glad we don't see any more of the monkey thing, because that guy has like slick back hair. He looks like the dude from the Munsters. What's the little boy's name that sleeps in a drawer?
Herman? No,
that the boy. You know what I'm talking about.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it looks like him though.
It kind of does, yeah. This is an interesting little moment too. They're up on top of this giant building, and then Swamp Thing is smacking this guy around a little bit. He's thinking about throwing him off, and he's like, you know what? No, I'm not going to be like you. He pulls a Batman. Yeah. Maybe the spirit of Gotham is in him. Mm-hmm. And then he kind of just pushes the guy. The guy steps on his monkey pet's hand. The monkey bites him, and then they both fall off the thing together. And they're falling off this building, and then Batman says, too late. Not a chance for me to save him now. It's like, Batman, how many times have we seen you dive off a building, grab someone, and then grappling hook your way up? Like, you just didn't want to do this one.
Those stairs took a lot out of you, man.
I guess, right? Like, and they even say in the stairs, though, he's got steadied breathing and muscle his muscles, tireless steel springs. It's like, wow.
But
if we need any more reminders.
The very last panel, Batman's like, just as I'm betting, there's a lot more to him as well. Maybe someday I'll take the time out to find out what that is. What's great is in Alan Moore's run, Swamp Thing returns to Gotham.
Wow.
And then some crazy stuff goes on. Swamp Thing takes over Gotham. They end up, spoiler alert, we're going to get, hopefully we get to do an episode on this later on. Maybe a follow-up on Swamp Thing, because it's dense. But they, for some reason, Abigail travels to Gotham, and they end up, like, just kind of trying to, like, exile her in a way. Like, they arrest her because, they know that she's related to Swamp Thing, and that was her lover. Somebody filmed them. I think somebody filmed them having sex or something, like something crazy, like some sort of intercourse.
What is this turning into?
I know, but they end up seeing that. They're like, "That's the girl that was with Swamp Thing. That's immoral. That's terrible." Like, and they end up arresting her, and Swamp Thing goes to Gotham, and they're like, "Release my wife, or I will just take down your city." And he takes over Gotham. Whoa. And it's all green and it's everything. And then they're ready to attack Swamp Thing. And Batman's like, guys, don't do it. You don't know what you're messing with here.
Yeah.
I've seen this guy before. He's really powerful. We're going to lose. Just give him back his wife. Just please give Swamp Thing back his wife. She didn't do anything wrong. And they're just like, what do you mean? This woman is with this creature. It's immoral. How could we? And then he's like, Hawkman, Hawkgirl, Superman, Lois Lane. And he just goes down the list of like relationships, and they're like, huh. Oh.
Oh yeah, I guess that's right.
You gotta point
He's
there,
like
don't
me
you?
and Wonder Woman.
Yeah. He's
Yeah.
like, come on, guys, we all get on with something weird every so
Yeah.
while, you know. And they're like, all right, let it go.
We gotta keep the readers interested, everyone.
But it plays out really well.
That's cool.
It's a cool issue, but I do admire Batman being like, guys, this dude's gonna take us down. But Batman fights him at first. I think he has like a flamethrower and he's trying to fight the plants. Like I think he thinks it's Ivy or something. But
Ooh, Poison Ivy and Swamp Thing would be an interesting meetup.
yeah.
That would
They
be
meet
cool.
up in Injustice too, I think.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Because Swamp Thing's in Injustice too. I forgot about that.
That's all I play as.
Really, just Swamp Thing? I should play it so I can get my
do
swamp
it.
on.
This next issue is the Lovecraftian issue that we're talking about.
It starts off with a bear fight, which I think is awesome. Swamp Thing's just fighting a big old grizzly bear, man. He finds this man in a cave who's unconscious, this old man, and there's a bear over him, and he just starts fighting him. And I think he breaks this bear's neck.
He breaks the bear's neck.
Yeah, it's a pretty great little fight.
And then he discovers another bizarre town.
Yeah, another bizarre town that was hit by this storm.
But this creature.
Yeah, so,
Man.
well, before we get all the way into that, the townspeople at first get the pitchforks out, try and kill Swamp Thing, but then they find out, hey, he actually saved this guy.
They're like, he killed this guy. And the dude's like, did you guys look?
Yeah, did you guys even check this out?
Yeah.
This guy
It's
obviously has
bear
grizzly
claws.
bear marks, yeah.
This guy has no claws.
So then they tell Swampy, hey, can you help us find our friend who's missing? They lead him to these, like, mines, and then when we get into the mines... And I'm sorry, we skipped over something kind of important because once Swamp Thing shows up, there's these weird little panels where it says like he awakens.
Oh,
it's very like Dark Side is.
Yeah.
And then end awakening, he becomes aware, and it shows this little eyeball. And then for he is called, and at last he has been answered. And then we find Managala.
Managala. Yeah.
Managala sounds.
You could
most
almost
right.
say that wrong and really
Managala.
mess that up.
Yeah, oh yeah. We can get ourselves into some trouble here. But we find this giant creature who looks like
Crazy.
he looks like a appendix
It
or
looks
something.
like something out of The Thing.
In this ooze. Yeah.
When did The Thing come out?
Well, that's a loaded question because the thing that you like is
that's
the
right.
80s.
Yeah, that's right.
But he didn't look anything
Right.
like that before this. There was a thing from the 50s, but it wasn't.
Yeah.
It wasn't anything like what
Ridiculous.
we.
So do you think they
See,
got any
yes.
influence from readings from some Swamp Thing?
I wouldn't be surprised.
Right?
I'd
The
be
tentacle
curious to
things
see where he
even,
gets
you know?
it from.
Big
could be
lump of
Swamp.
like meat that because you know when you think about The Thing, how he takes the dogs and it's one big pile of dogs.
Yeah.
This guy's been taking people and pets and
Yeah.
growing, and he's trying to grow bigger and bigger, just like The Thing.
And he's been around forever. It was
So maybe this
Managala
was-
who decreed the birth of life on your world.
Mm-hmm.
Managala who saw the coming of man and bestowed with the capacity for mindless violence. So he's just some like
Oh, read the next panel. too.
but Managala has been generous as well, for he has touched the minds of the greatest scribes, Lovecraft, Bierce, Poe. Yeah. It's like, whoa.
Yeah,
So
that's cool.
This guy is the origin of our unit. He's like our god.
Yeah.
And Swampy kills him in this thing. Basically, he's like, I'm going to absorb you. And then he's like, let me take this giant pole out of the floor.
But that's like one of the coolest pages where you
It's
see the
great.
universe, just like the planets
Yeah.
aligning and all this crazy stuff, and Swamp Thing stops all that.
And I think that's maybe a hint to what is next to come for Swampy.
Maybe
And once we finish up, like, this is the groundwork, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they're showing you, like, this is a whole universe we can get into. And to be honest, I don't know how on board I am with it. And this is the weirdest comparison I've ever made on the channel, but this reminds me a lot of the TV show Supernatural. Have you ever seen Supernatural?
I haven't.
So,
I know a good amount about it though.
Well, it's like two brothers.
Yeah.
And they're part of, like, a demon hunting family.
Uh-huh.
And it's a CW show.
Yeah.
So, of course, it's like all other
It's-
CW
yeah.
shows. But the first season, each episode is straight up like a horror movie. So
Okay.
there's one where it's like they fight the Wendigo, who's like the creature with never-ending hunger, which when I started reading that issue, I honestly thought it was going to be Wendigo.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, interesting. They took him in this cave. He's going to have to fight Wendigo because of the eye and everything.
Which is crazy. It's funny. I don't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good.
But Len Wein created Wolverine.
And Wolverine fights Wendigo.
Yeah, exactly. In that
Yeah.
scene, yeah, it's Hulk versus Wendigo.
I used to
and
have
Wolverine.
those issues. When I was a kid, I had the Wolverine Wendigo issues. I think my brother has them now. I gave all my comics to my brother when I left my house.
Did you have the first appearance of Wolverine?
I don't know. Was that his first appearance with Wendigo?
Yeah, it's one of those issues
Ooh.
with if it's Hulk 181.
No, you know what? I'm sorry. I'm getting my superheroes confused. I have the one where Spider-Man fights Wendigo.
Oh, okay.
That's a whole nother story.
David, if you had a Hulk 181,
right?
you could have like funded your wedding.
Oh, that's crazy, right? No, that would be hilarious. I'd have to ask my brother back.
You know who has one?
Who?
Sam.
Really?
Yeah, and I held it like once, and I didn't know.
You should have him do it on the channel. Have him bring it over, and you guys can talk about it.
We should.
That'd be
Sam
a great one.
has his dad's collection, and
whoa,
dude, that should have paid for Sam's wedding.
Wow.
Yeah,
Maybe it did. We just don't know.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But yeah, Swampy kills this guy. Oh no, I'm sorry. I'm getting so off here. So in Supernatural, that's the whole first part. You know, this issue we fight Wendigo. The next episode we fight Wendigo. Then another episode we find the Lady of the River. It's like a La Llorona thing. You know what I mean? All tiny little horror stories. But then like 2 or 3 seasons in, and this is when I jumped ship too. It was like, now there's angels and cosmic forces and blah, blah, blah.
Constantine-looking guy and whatnot.
Yeah, it was straight up. That guy does look like Constantine. But I don't know if I like Swamp Thing being so celestial and being like... I kind of just like Swamp Thing being like a scary monster.
Well,
but how much can you do with that until you have to move on is really the point of this, I think.
I could see that. And, you know, looking at the stuff that we made... You know, I think we're not going to do an episode on it. But the future Swamp episodes, stuff just gets weirder. And we're seeing aliens. And, I mean, this guy is some mutated, toxic guy over here. And then we have, oh my gosh.
Bigfoot?
This is the costume from the movie. I don't know if we can... I'll put up a still on it, too.
Is it the 80s movie?
Yeah.
I really want to watch that movie,
I want to, too. I haven't seen it.
We should watch it. We'll do it.
I'm down. Hey.
CLE.
They also had a... Let's do a CLE.
I'm down.
So down. They also had a TV show in the 90s.
Oh, I heard about that.
Yeah, and...
It's a cartoon, right?
The cartoon.
Yeah.
Do you remember the theme song?
You played it for me.
It was a ripoff of Wild Thing.
Yeah.
But it was Swamp Thing. Dun, 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 dun. It's ridiculous.
You are really green.
Yeah, something like that. It was something
down.
cheesy where like they're making up the lyrics as they're playing and everything. But you know, when we get into the Alan Moore Celestial, the Alan Moore stuff was what I read first. That's what defined Swamp Thing for me. And I was like, how could we overlook such a deep and bizarre and mysterious character that is like not only like cosmically like influenced. Whoa, I just lost connection right here.
Oh really? Can you still hear? It's probably the you got
there we
cable.
go. Yeah. Oh, there we go. That was weird. My voice just like disappeared. Yeah. But it ties in and makes this monster just so deep and so understood. You want to see him like in a cosmic balance of the universe.
I'll have to see it. I'll have to experience it and see how it feels. I'll try it.
Oh, you'll love it. And it's literally, I did a whole report in college, like when I was first like doing one of my first English classes on why comic books are literature. And it was all based on Sandman and Swamp Thing. Oh. And it was, my professor read it and they're like, I need to read Swamp Thing, dude. Like, it sounds like
that's good.
some intense stuff. And because I put direct quotes and passages from it.
Yeah.
And he's like, dude, the word usage, the structure, like the concepts they're covering is just mind blowing. And there's some, if you look up some YouTube videos of interviews with Alan Moore at that time, it's pretty crazy.
Okay.
Yeah. So no, but definitely.
I'll dive in for the next one.
And you know what I'm noticing a lot too is a lot of these issues have cliffhangers where they could be picked up later, like the Batman one. I believe these alien things come back in Alan Moore's run too.
Oh, really?
Yeah. In issue 9.
Issue 9, yeah. So we have Swamp Thing kind of stumbling upon this alien who's
crazy looking.
Who's landed in this barn with his ship.
Dude, his belt. Yeah, it's just insane, and he has this crazy like cosmic staff thing, and he holds it all weird. Like
this is a great character design. Yeah. This one's really interesting. This is the most Twilight Zone of all the issues, I think.
Oh, yeah.
But basically, the alien guy gets captured by some U.S. soldiers who want to, and the soldiers kind of divide into two parties.
And Matt Cable is part of this.
He is. He's back.
Yeah.
And they want to, well, at the beginning of the issue, they're taking Matt Cable back, too. He's, like, relaxing with Abigail on a beach.
In Florida.
Yeah, and then they're just like, you got to come back to work. So, and he's like, oh.
Do you feel like they're together, or do you think they're just friends?
In the beginning of that issue, it seems like they were. Like,
yeah.
Like, there's some kind of...
connection of some
inkling
sort.
of something.
Yeah, like,
They're not just, I'm just hanging out because I have nothing else to do. It doesn't seem like that.
Yeah,
So,
it's weird.
I don't know. It is weird.
We'll have to read more.
There's so much of the story that we haven't read, so I'm sure something happens. But these soldiers capture the alien, and they kind of divide into two little parties. Matt Capel and another soldier are like, well, we can't kill him. You know what I mean? We have to. And the alien does kill one of the soldiers, right? Isn't that what happens? Like in self-defense, though.
Yeah.
So then they chain him up. They have him tied to this tree, and then a bunch of the other soldiers are like freaking out, and they want to kill him now because they think that he's going to destroy the world or something. And they have a whole conversation about it, like the philosophy, the ethics of it. This one is very thoughtful, I think.
Yeah.
The ending's a little predictable, though. Basically, like Swamp Thing shows up.
Saves the alien.
Saves the day. The alien's about to get shot. Saves the alien. And then, the alien finally speaks. He's like, I've been listening to you all. I can now communicate with you through your language.
Yeah.
The humans are awful. Like, I crashed here from a cosmic storm. I just needed some repairs, and you guys are just trying to kill me.
You guys are being jerks, man.
Yeah, no, I feel bad for you. Peace out. I'm leaving. Which I guess he didn't need his ship repaired.
Yeah.
Which doesn't make a lot of sense either, but
I know.
I just thought this one was really good. I really like issue 9.
But I thought the ending was real sad too. You don't really see that part happening, the actual ending of it, where he takes off and he's flying off, and then all of a sudden, boom.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, but I want to say, dude, there's it's been so long since I've read the Alan Moore stuff. Man, it has to be at least close to 5 years when I first read this issue that involved the aliens, but I want to say these ones come back, and it's a really sad story.
Yeah, we'll have to check it out. Oh, and you know what? I made a joke about it, but that's probably why the ship crashed, too, because he wasn't able to repair his ship all the way.
Yeah, and he still tried to take off.
Yeah, he's like, I can't stay here, obviously.
And then, issue 10 is...
Issue 10's a weird one, man.
Yeah, it's a little racy, but,
It's the 1970s. There was no political correctness.
Yeah.
And we have a story about slavery, like a plantation.
But the Unmen come back. We get the arcane that carries through.
The main arcane, the one that we thought died, the crazy scientist uncle, he's back, and he's now this disgusting monster body like Swamp Thing. They're kind of setting up, it seems like, his arch nemesis. You know what I mean? That's the vibe you get, like the Spider-Man Venom. Like when you have the two characters who are just the same. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And well, before that happens, though, he stumbles upon this old lady in some shack.
The gypsy looking.
And she gives us some quick backstory, which they like to do a lot in this book. I've noticed that that's something they like to do. They hit you with the backstory real quick. But basically, there was this plantation, and there was this slave that they call Black Jubal. He's this giant muscular man who was kind of standing up for himself and for his wife, and they kill him. And this person who owned this plantation was torturous. He was like drawing and quartering people, just doing horrific things. And then they burn Jubal. Yeah. And before he dies, he says, I will be back. Death will not stop my revenge. Let me see if I can actually just read that real quick. It's a great line he has. Death wouldn't stop him from dealing from Parmenter for good. That's the guy who is the plantation owner. Parmenter's breed would pay in kind for the almighty sins they committed against their fellow man. And it's just super intense, dude. So then, we have... And this is the part that really confuses me in this story. We have the Unmen.
Yeah.
With Arcane. And they're fighting Swamp Thing, and Arcane's basically like, I've studied you, I know how to defeat you now. But then Jubal and the black men who also died, the other slaves, they come out of the grave. They don't look like zombies. They actually just look like themselves. And they come to help fight Arcane, and it seems like they pull him apart limb from limb.
Yeah.
But I don't know why they showed up. And I don't know what the motivation is for them showing up.
For the Unmen?
Oh, that's right. No, we pointed this out earlier because I asked you the same question, right? What is it again?
They follow him to his death.
Who?
The Unmen?
No. Why does Jubal and the people come back?
They owe some sort of debt to... That's all they say. They owe a debt.
To who, though? That part doesn't make any sense
To
to
like
me.
the swamp, I guess. The people of the swamp, the
I guess.
innocents, the people.
But that's not even what he said. He was like, "I'm going to get vengeance on you." You know what I mean?
So
like,
is this guy the same guy then? That's what I'm saying.
Arcane can't be. It doesn't make any sense.
Why would he be there?
Why is he living in Transylvania
Yeah.
on a mountainside mansion if he's a plantation owner in the South? That part really doesn't make sense to me at
they're
all.
already not bridging some stuff together.
Yeah.
But this is, another thing. They're making it up as they go.
Yeah, they're making it up as they go.
They didn't plan comics out the way stuff like this could be canceled at any time.
Yeah,
You know
we
what I
can't
mean?
hold it to the same scrutiny
Yeah.
that you would today, where it's a different medium. Although I did really like that they did a plantation issue involving like slavery because it's in Louisiana.
Yeah.
And that just seems like such a easy
topic you could touch.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
And that's the end of the Len Wein Bernie
Yeah.
Wrightson run. I don't think they get back together for this at all, but Wrightson's was famous for Swamp Thing forever after this.
Mm-hmm.
The friend I know that gifted me that signed comic,
Yeah.
he has original Swamp Thing artwork from Bernie Wrightson.
Wow.
And it is gorgeous.
I bet.
But yeah, and I'm flipping through the rest of these issues. It looks like Len Wein stopped writing. He just went up to issue 13,
Okay.
and he was off. David Michelin took over. He's actually very famous for his Spider-Man runs. He did
really?
the Venom and Carnage stuff. He did all that type of stuff.
Cool.
And it looks like for a while, Swamp Thing just gets like lumpier,
Okay.
real lumpy for a while. And I want to say, it's not until the Alan Moore stuff where we see the Swamp Thing we know today, because he still looks like a creature to the end of this. Let's see here. Let's see. Yeah. Oh, here's more current Swamp Thing look.
Oh, I see what you're talking
Oh,
about.
yeah.
So we get a little bit closer.
It starts to change.
They evolve the character a little bit.
Oh, look at Arcane right here.
Whoa, so Arcane's back again is what we hear. Even grosser.
Arcane's the main villain.
The main
of Swamp
villain.
Thing.
So he's never going to be gone forever.
Yeah.
I gotta say, man, I really enjoyed the swampiness. I think the stories have a lot of character to them. There's a little bit of like repetitiveness in what they do with the character.
Yeah.
But if anything, they branch
real
out.
dense too.
They branch out. Well, the denseness is the best part.
Yeah.
Both in the denseness of Swamp Thing because he's made of moss, but also the dense of like the story they're telling. I think they have good motivations. And he's just really interesting character. Way more interesting than I would have ever thought Swamp Thing
Good
could be.
horror stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good creepy stuff.
Yeah.
And I mean, later on we're gonna pick up in the first volume of Alan Moore stuff. I want to see how many issues it is. I want to just say it's like 6 or something. But what's cool about that is that Alan Moore makes villains and certain people like scary that wouldn't be scary, like Floronic Man. He's the main villain at first, and he's actually going to be the villain in the upcoming TV show. The thing about the upcoming TV show is it's mainly based on the Alan Moore stuff.
Oh, cool. So,
Yeah.
so we'll really get an idea.
An idea of everything, and that's what's exciting for one.
Yeah.
But it's also, I mean, it's cool knowing the origin. It's cool knowing where it all came from.
It's always nice.
It's good seeing the roots of it all and seeing how it's evolved and everything. Let me see if it shows me right here. Stuff turns into the Sunderland Corporation. Oh man, we get some deep stuff about who Swamp Thing is now.
Okay.
And that's one of my favorite parts. And we'll keep that for next episode.
Yeah.
But I had a blast. I really want to read more of this.
I think I might do it the same. I'm gonna get a little bit further for sure.
This omnibus is only priced at $100.
Oof.
But if you go to like In Stock Trades or Amazon, you're gonna get it for way less than that.
Okay.
You're gonna pay like $60-$70 for all this.
I mean,
and that's
not
so
bad.
worth it.
When you think about like the quality of paper and ink that goes into an omnibus, like
Yeah, they're great collector editions. We also have Swamp Thing #1, a most recent that you have right here.
Oh yeah. I picked
and
this up just the other day.
This run with Kelly Jones and Len Wein. This was Len Wein's last Swamp Thing story before he passed away.
Yeah.
I actually had the chance to briefly meet Len for a moment at San Diego, and I was gonna get some books signed by him later on, and I just kept on getting busy, and I was just like, you know what? Next year I'm gonna hit him up. 2 weeks later he died.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're selfish, Brent.
I know. I wish I could have got some of my books signed. The Swamp Thing #1 I have
some of
is
those-
super cherished. It was the first comic my girlfriend got me. for
Aw.
Christmas one year, and it was just
Aw.
a total surprise. And she went to Brad over at All Star and was like, He said he wanted. He had 2 books on hold, and Brad was like, "Really? Those 2 books?" And it was
Yeah.
New Gods #1 and Swamp Thing #1. And
So
I was
she
like,
dropped some money.
she dropped some
pick
money
those up.
there, yeah. And that was our first Christmas together, and I was like, "Dang,
Aw.
you're serious."
That's cool.
So it's a super cherished issue for me, and Swamp Thing is. I guess Swamp Thing means a little bit more to me because
Yeah.
of that. You know what I mean? And I eventually found all the other issues just through time. I think I'm
Yeah.
only missing 1 issue from the first 10. And I have almost the entire Alan Moore run too.
Wow.
Which
They're
goes on
beautiful.
for like 60 issues or so.
They are beautiful, Brandon.
Mm-hmm.
I love them, man.
Anything else on the swamp?
Well, I think our swamp talk is drying up. Why don't we watch
Yeah.
this Hush thing? We have a bonus segment today,
Yes,
everyone.
we do. We have first
Yeah.
reactions to
Let's
Hush.
do it.
All right, let's kick it up.
Yeah.
We did cover Hush. It's Batman's 80th anniversary this year. So today they released the trailer for this, and
Yeah.
I'm so excited. I'm so glad that we chose to read it too because of this.
Yeah, what great timing.
Let's see.
Purposeful, but great timing.
Yeah. Ooh, let's turn up the brightness here. Let's even turn up the volume all the way here. I am.
Yeah,
oh,
can you put it on top of the focus right? There we go. Oh, you know what? Can we turn it down just a little bit? I feel like this is going to be an audio nightmare. There we go.
All right, first reactions.
We'll definitely have to layer the trailer over this.
Cool.
We've done this dance for so long. Like the view? It's the only thing you'll catch tonight.
Is Batman your new boy toy? I have one too.
Nice.
Wow.
None of this is my fault. He made me control Superman.
What's his name?
He calls himself Hush.
The events of the past months reach as high as Superman and as low as the Joker. All were set into motion by Hush. Is it too much to ask for one quiet weekend?
It's like they're all crawling out from under the carpets now.
That's cool. Nice little references there.
Yeah.
Hush knows me. He's been one step ahead of me.
Like a CGI,
Tick tock.
little CGI
Yeah.
traveling stuff. Car animation.
Oof.
Hush, Batman. Hush.
Okay,
All right,
interesting.
interesting, right? When does this come out? Oh, it doesn't even say release yet.
No, didn't give it to you.
Probably the summer.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Okay, I'll put this back over here for you.
Yeah, why are you taking my iPad?
I was just stealing it. gonna sell it.
That's interesting. I mean, these DC movies, the current path that they're on, they were pulling a lot from the animation style. They actually have them structured in different ways. They did the New 52 stuff, which was like Justice League War, Throne of Atlantis, stuff like that. And then they had their whole Batman run, and that started with I think it was called Son of Batman,
Oh,
and
yeah.
then there was the second one that had the Court of Owls stuff.
Isn't there Batman Dark or something like that? I might be thinking of something else.
Something else, maybe. I don't know.
Justice League Dark, I think is what I'm
Oh,
thinking
Justice
of.
League Dark. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was along the same universe that they're shaping right now. There's Batman Bad Blood, which tied in Batwoman and everything. So this is the same animation. So this is part of the same kind of universe. So they've
Yeah.
kind of built it up so high, and now they're gonna tell the Hush story, which is cool. So I mean, if you just follow the timeline of the animated films
Yeah.
that they're doing, it'll make sense. I think it's gonna tie into the other films as well.
Okay.
I don't feel like shocked or surprised by anything.
A lot of these Batman animated movies, I'm not totally taken with the animation style.
I haven't been in the last couple of years.
I feel like they're not dark enough. They feel so clean. I don't know.
Yeah.
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 But it could be good. I don't know.
I've enjoyed the last few for sure.
I still haven't watched Killing Joke
don't
because you just said it was terrible,
don't
and I don't know if I'm ever gonna get around to it.
don't
Yeah.
don't.
Yeah.
The Killing Joke episode we're planning on doing when the Joker film comes out.
Oh yeah.
And what's really exciting about that is I have the absolute edition of the Killing Joke, and I really want to analyze how like structure tells the story, but even how format tells the story. Because I have a first print of the comic.
Yeah.
I have, of course, the regular graphic that kind of is distributed everywhere, and the absolute edition has it in two ways. It has like the absolute print, and it has like original like paper that they printed on. The paper changes.
Wow.
It shows the story twice.
Yeah.
But the paper changes, so it has a different texture to
That's
it.
interesting.
And I really want to analyze how that tells the story differently. But that's another story. I don't know. I'm not too impressed.
It looks okay.
I'm gonna watch it. You know
I
what
have
I mean?
a feeling you just can't nail these movies. I think when you pick a story that's so
so well known.
yeah, people are either going to be like they haven't seen it or they haven't read it, and they're going to be like, oh, this was nice, and they have read it. They're like, well, they were missing this, and
Yeah,
this.
'cause
That's what I'm anticipating.
Yeah, because if you're gonna do it, you got to put in Raish, you got to put in Clayface, you got to put in Jason Todd, you got to put in everything.
The whole
you know?
team's got to be there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like don't just tease it. Well, it could.
but
I mean,
that could be in it. We don't know
Hush
yet.
was
Yeah.
2 parts too,
Yeah,
so that could be it. But no, they're mixing elements from the second part. We'll find out.
we'll find out.
We'll find out.
Well, do you have a pull list for us this week, Brandon?
Oh no.
No.
I've been reading Swamp Thing. I've been editing. And doing
Editing takes up
homework.
time,
Yeah.
man. Oh my goodness.
But we are working on all day today. We were working on a short film for this little festival that we're getting a part of. So it is very comic book themed. It's very Miracle Man themed. Very Jack Kirby Miracle Man.
Oh, okay.
Themed.
So
It's
really bad costumes.
It's amazing. I love that costume.
Oh wait, you said Miracle Man. I'm thinking Mr. Miracle.
I'm
Are you saying the wrong one?
I'm saying the wrong one.
Oh my gosh, we'll
we
never
gotta
get it
read
right.
Miracle Man. We got to do an episode of Miracle
I almost
Man.
feel like we shouldn't at this point because it's going to confuse me anymore. I have no idea what I'm talking about.
We should do that because this summer we're gonna kind of take somewhat of a not a hiatus, but like a kind of a skipped around break.
We'll be going free form with it.
Yeah.
It's gonna be real jazzy this summer. Who knows
Yeah.
what's gonna happen?
We have a lot going on. You have
Yeah.
a wedding. We have San Diego's coming up. There's gonna be a lot of content, but episode structure wise, it'll be a bit different. But maybe after, gosh, because I want you to read Miracle Man.
I'm down, but we're looking at August at this point.
Yeah.
Wow, seems so far away, but it'll be here before we know it.
Yeah. But show me your pull list. I don't have very much.
I have a couple.
I've read the most recent Batman.
I love going to thrift stores. It's just something I've always loved. I did a ton as a kid.
And you find cool stuff there. I never find cool stuff at thrift stores.
Some of it's just you got to go kind of consistently.
Yeah.
Like you have to go to one store, you have to know that you're going to go like 6 times and find something good once. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I went and they had these books for $1 a piece. And it was a bunch of Spider-Man, and this was right after watching Endgame, and then I was also trying to finish Spider-Man PS4 because I put it down for a while
Oh,
because
did
of
you finish it?
various other video game commitments. No, I'm much further though.
Where are you?
I was like at 30% before. I'm like at 70 now.
Oh.
I'm getting like way
Let's
further.
talk about the story sometime.
We should, dude. That would be really good.
Yeah.
I've really enjoyed it so far though. But I picked up a couple Spider-Man issues. There's this one series, The Gauntlet,
Oh wow.
where Spider-Man's going off against like some of his biggest villains, and it's split
nice
into
cover.
4 different. That's actually the only reason I bought this one.
Yeah, that got my attention.
They had some other Gauntlet issues, but it was only one because this is is this the Mysterio one? Yeah, this is the Mysterio
Oh, cool.
section. It's like 6 Mysterio issues. I think there's a Shocker one, there's a Scorpion one, but I was like, well, none of them are the first issue of their series. They're only one issue from each series. I'm just gonna buy this one because I love the cover. It looks great.
Nice.
Then I picked up this story and I just got lucky. It's a 2-part Spider-Man story. I haven't got to read it yet, but it has to do with Peter Parker's like getting married.
Nice.
One moment in time. So I was stoked to just kind of pick these up, and I haven't got a chance to read them yet, but I just wanted to talk about them just a wee bit. And then
Is that Spider-Man?
it's Spider-Man.
I want to read that.
I got the
really
first
want to
3
read
issues,
that.
man.
How many issues is it? Is it only
It's
like
5.
4? Oh, it's 5.
So I just need to get the last 2. I looked them up online. They're like a couple bucks a piece.
So I want to read it. I've always wanted to read that one in particular.
Me too, man.
Like,
And I'm super stoked because I haven't gotten to read any Miles Morales stuff. I was already out of comic books when that was like a thing. But there's some great covers in here where we get this like half Peter,
it's how the universe is.
half
It's kind of
Miles.
like the Edge of the Spider-Verse type of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And then this cover looks awesome, man. I mean, there's just so much to soak in.
That's cool.
I mean, I'm
Brian
super
Michael
stoked.
Bendis was doing phenomenal stuff. I say phenomenal so much.
I'm gonna get you the source. Fantastic.
Yeah, let's do it.
Jaw dropping.
Yeah. Oh, he's fantastic. I'm talking about
Inspiring.
Marvel. He does some spectacular stuff with the Marvel universe.
That's a great one for Spider-Man.
I really want to see what he does with that because I've been interested, and especially when you're coming off and playing the PS4 game and jumping into that. That's why I wanted to read it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good job there.
I'll let you know, man.
Yes.
I'm just getting Spider-Man heavy right now. I don't know what's
and
going
then
on.
you're reading the Decade books that are coming out.
Oh yeah, I'm still reading those, man. The next one comes out tomorrow, the 80s one.
80s. Well, so
And-
it'll be out by the time this comes
yeah.
out.
And if
It looks cool. It has the black student on it.
If it keeps up in this quality, man, we definitely just have to do an episode where we
I'm down.
just reread the
I
six
might
of
just
them.
collect it in a graphic or something.
Yeah.
It looks
some points
riveting.
you might as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Geez, that's super cool.
Yeah.
That's super awesome.
great.
Where else
It's
are
great.
we in the world? Well, I mean, we're gonna wrap up. We're gonna do another Swamp Thing episode. We're gonna dive into that one more, get people interested into that one more stuff. It's issues 20 through 27 of the saga of the Swamp Thing.
Okay.
And it's super easy to find. It's
Okay.
the first volume of it. And I'm very interested to see what you think. I'm excited to read it again.
Yeah.
Honestly, I love this stuff. I've read it like 4 times, I think, already.
Wow. Okay.
My aunt bought me this for Christmas one year.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't think she realized what she was buying me.
Oh, but she got it right.
But she got it right, and I was
Nice.
like, yes. It took me a little while to read it because I was like, I knew Swamp Thing was something cool and crazy.
Yeah.
But once I kicked off like the first volume, I was like, all right, well, let me read volume 2.
Yeah.
And then it just snowballed, and I
Wow.
just dove into that stuff
Cool,
because
man.
it gets fun.
Okay.
I guess that's all we have right now.
That's it, man. That's it for today. On the channel coming up, we're gonna have a bunch of Game of Thrones talk
Yes,
after
we
next
are.
week when this
Yeah.
thing ends. We're gonna be doing some Godzilla themed content for
Yeah.
King of Monsters coming
Yeah,
out.
hype for that.
So I don't know. Stay tuned, everyone. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching.
Check out Dave and Frankenbeans. Check out
Yeah.
the YouTube page. We have tons of content on
There's
there.
just so much
Um,
piles of content.
Check out our Instagram. We're always showing
Yeah.
off CGC books in our collection. So David's gonna start showing his collection real
Yeah.
soon too. So
Our
keep an eye
MySpace
out.
page will be up next week.
Really?
No,
I was just- what?
we're going backwards.
David and Frankenbeans. We did a podcast that's on Spotify now. So check that out.
Yeah.
We'll be throwing this on Spotify soon, probably.
Yeah, we'll get on Spotify.
But that's it.
That's it.
We're going back into the swamp. We'll be back next week.
Oops. All right.
Leave it like that.
Yeah,
It's
that's a great ending.